Pallavi,
Yes,
Good
Rangada.
morning, everyone.
will you read today?
Okay, Rangada.
Okay. Our physical life.
Our physical life, its maintenance, its continuance is a journey, a pilgrimage of the body, Sharira Yatra, and that cannot be effected without action. But even if a man could leave his body unmaintained, otiose, if he could stand still always like a tree or sit inert like a stone, sthitati, that vegetable or material immobility would not save him from the hands of nature. He would not be liberated from our workings. For it is not our physical movements and activities alone which are meant by works, by karma. Our mental existence also is a great complex action. It is even the greater and more important part of the works of the unresting energy, subjective cause and determinant of the physical. We have gained nothing if we repress the effect but retain the activity of the subjective cause. The objects of sense are only an occasion for our bondage. The mind's insistence on them is the means, the instrumental cause. A man may control his organs of action and refuse to give them their natural pay, but he has gained nothing if his mind continues to remember and dwell upon the objects of sense. Such a man has bewildered himself with false notions of self discipline. He has not understood its object or its truth, nor the first principles of his subjective existence. Therefore, all his methods of self discipline are false and null. Shall I read the footnote?
Yes, read the book.
I cannot think that mithyachara means a hypocrite. How is a man a hypocrite who inflicts on himself so severe and complete a privation? He is mistaken and deluded. Vimuddhama and his achara, his formally regulated method of self-discipline, is a false and vain method. This surely is all that the Gita means. The body's actions, even the mind's actions, are nothing in themselves, neither a bondage nor the first cause of bondage. What is vital is the mighty energy of nature, which will have her way and her play in her great field of mind and life and body. What is dangerous in her is the power of her three gunas, moods or qualities to confuse and bewilder the intelligence and so obscure the soul. That, as we shall see later, is the whole crux of action and liberation for the Gita. Be free from obscuration and bewilderment by the three gunas, and action can continue as it must continue, and even the largest, richest, or most enormous violent action, it does not matter. For nothing then touches the Purusha. The soul has Naishkarmya.
That's right. So in this paragraph, which is almost one page, Srema is explaining that people who think that karma is the one, the action in the physical world is the one that gives you desire and attachment, is not absolutely correct. That's what Srema is saying. It is largely true that there is if you are acting uh, very with in the physical world, the action draws you to sense objects, okay, and then you naturally get attached and attracted, and then there is you are subject to the senses and your ignorance. So Sremna is saying that the idea that therefore you come to the conclusion that don't do any action in the physical world because that will save you from attraction to objects and attraction to desires. So don't do that. Sremna is pointing out that that's not at all the correct way of seeing things. And then he discusses because the word mithyachara is there in the Gita. But Sremna is saying that the interpretation of mithyachara is not correct. Mithyachara is okay, but you should not translate as hypocrite. It is a wrong action that he is doing. You have to interpret it that. Okay? So basically, he is telling you that remaining aloof from action in the physical world is, however much you practice it, It is impossible to escape, impossible to become a liberated soul just by stopping physical action. Because there is vital action and there is mental action. Okay, so that is not the way. And even to stop, okay, vital action. But the mind is going on acting. So the problem is not to control the physical body and remove your actions. The thing is, as Srindu says very clearly, we have to go to the root. And the root of the problem is desire and attachment. So if you remove desire and attachment in yourself, then what you are doing has no importance at all. Okay? You can do anything you want if there is no desire, because that will not bind you down. That's the whole point. Okay? So you have to get rid of desire. They cut the link between your thinking and the action. This you have to cut the link in the mind with your desire. Once you do that, the action has no importance. That's what he is saying. Now let's look at basically this is the whole thing that we're saying. The idea that karma is the one that binds you down is not absolutely correct. You can do karma without being bound down. In fact, that is almost the very second verse or even the first verse of the Isha Upanishad. Na karma lipyate nare. It does not bind a man. Karma does not bind a man. You can continue to work, but cut the link in the mind. Get rid of desire. Then you can do whatever you want. Right. So I'm reading each sentence. Our physical life, its maintenance, its continuance is a journey, a pilgrimage of the body. Sharira Yatra. Sharira Yatra means only maintenance of body. Okay, that's all. Eating, sleeping, that's all. Sharira Yatra. I came across this word in Shankar Gowda's correspondence with Sri Aurobindo. So, Sharira Yatra. Okay. It means only maintenance of body. Maintenance of the body with food and sleep. It's a pilgrimage, simply saying. Why? Because the maintenance of the body has to be seen as a pilgrimage. It's a vehicle in which you are traveling towards God. Because if you are not in your body, there is no evolution. So that is the pilgrimage of the body. If you are in the body only, there is evolution. If you are outside the body, you are in a static condition. You are in the immutable, eternal, infinite condition. So, a pilgrimage of the body, Sharira Yatra, and that cannot be effected without action. How can you eliminate action and continue to maintain the body? And Srimad is going very interestingly, he goes a little further. But even if a man could leave his body unmaintained, that means to say, no food and no sleep, he doesn't pay any attention to his body. Okay? Unmaintained, otiose. Otiose means useless, futile, sterile, superfluous, dispensable. You keep the body as something very dispensable, not necessary at all. If that you do, if you could stand still, always like a tree, or sit inert like a stone, tishtati is quoting from the Gita. That's why it's in italics. Tishtati, stands. Okay? That vegetable or material immobility would not save him from the hands of nature. He cannot be liberated just by not doing physical action. He would not be liberated from her workings. For, he is explaining why. For it is not our physical movements and activities alone which are meant by works, by karma. Our mental existence also is a great complex action. It is even the greater and more important part of the works of the unresting energy. The unresting energy is the universal force in the cosmos. Okay? And it's constantly moving. That's one of the features now of this between spirit and matter. Matter is constantly in motion, constantly. And Spirit is constantly in action, in complete peace and non-action, immutability. Because the divine doesn't need to evolve. There is no need for him to change. He is perfect in every way. Okay? So that is what he's saying. For it is not our physical movements and activities alone which are meant by works. Even when you are having desires in your vital, it is action. Even when you are having thoughts in your mind, it is action. And so is saying it's even a greater, more important part than physical action. Subjective cause and determinant of the physical. Because even when a desire comes in, first of all you think of it and then you execute it. So the first subjective cause, the real reason for your action is in the mind and the vital. And then you do the action. So it's if you cut the link in the mind itself, mind and vital, if you cut the link, then you can continue to do the work without attachment and desire. That's the whole point. But suppose you don't cut the link and stop your action, then what are you doing? You are actually suppressing the desire. So suppression is not the solution, not the giver. Non-attachment. That means you have to do a surgical operation within yourself to remove desire. If you do that, what you are eating, what you are doing, what you are sleeping has no importance at all. That's what he is saying. Subjective cause and determinant of the physical. We have gained nothing if we repress the effect, but retain the activity of the subjective cause. I have a desire for rasgulla, and that desire is there in the mind, but I don't eat the rasgulla. I am suppressing the physical act, but the desire is still there in the mind. So what's the use? You are impure. That's what he is pointing out. So if you get rid of the desire in the mind, then you are free. Whether rasgulla is given to you or not, you will have no problem. But if you have got a desire and a rasgulla is given to you, you will enjoy it. But if it is not given to you, you will suffer. Therefore, get rid of desire, which is the real cause of all action. That's what he. If we have gained, we have gained nothing if we suppress, repress the effect. The effect is the physical world, the physical action and world. But retain the activity of the subjective cause, which is a desire, the objects of sense. The objects of sense are only an occasion for our bondage. The mind's insistence on them is the means, the instrumental cause. So, very objects of sense. I gave the example of food because it is one of the most attractive things for all human beings. There are people who are not interested in foods. They may be interested in clothes or fame or things. But food is something that is very easily you can understand the principle of what he's saying. So the food is the object of sense. And your mind is there. The mind's insistence on it is the means, the instrumental cause. A man may control his organs of action. In other words, he is not eating the rasgulla and refuse to give them their natural play. But he has gained nothing if his mind continues to remember and dwell upon the objects of sense. So in your own mind, you are enjoying the rasgulla. Okay, so that's what he's saying. If that is so, then you have gained nothing because the mind is still impure, mind and vital. Such a man has bewildered himself with false notions of self-discipline. Self-discipline is not physical. Physical self-discipline is important, but the real most important thing is in the mind, the link, in psychologically. You have to get rid of attachment and desire. Such a man has bewildered himself with false notions of self-discipline. He has not understood its object or its truth, nor the first principles of his subjective existence. Therefore, all his methods of self-discipline are false and null. So Sridhar explained that the word mithyachara, okay? Yeah. So that is in chapter 3, verse 6. It says, Karmendriyani samyamya Yaha aste manasa smaran indriyani indriyar and moodatma mithyachara uchyate. So my handwriting is not very clear. So what he's saying is karmendriyani samyamya, controlling the organs of action, not eating, okay, not eating, controlling the outward physical action, but who is enjoying in the mind. By mind, he is going on thinking of the Rasulullah. Then he is a mithyachara. He's got wrong notions of what is actionlessness. The actionlessness is not physical. The actionlessness is non-attachment in the mind and the body. That's what should be particular. Okay. The body's action, I read the text now. The body's actions, even the mind's actions, are nothing in themselves, neither a bondage nor the first cause of bondage. What is vital is the mighty energy of nature, which will have her way and her play in her, is the power of the three gunas. Whatever you do, you will have the nature will be acting on you with the three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. Modes or qualities to confuse and bewilder the intelligence and so obscure the soul. Very more concrete way of understanding this is when you are identified with your body, your vital and your mind, then you are in ignorance, and if you control your physical action, that doesn't help much. It may help medically for your outer body. So, for instance, if you are a diabetic, then they'll tell you not to eat sweets, even though you may feel like. So it may benefit the body to a certain extent. But the problem of liberation is not solved. That's what we will continue. Okay? So, modes. The three gunas, remember? Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. The body corresponding to Tamas, the vital corresponding to Rajas, and the mind corresponding to Sattva. So that vital, the universal nature will go on imposing these on you. So the way to get rid of that is cutting the link in the mind, and then you become Trigunatita. You become beyond the three gunas. Then you can have liberation. Okay. That, as we shall see later, I'm reading the text, that, as we shall see later, is the whole crux of action and liberation of the Gita. For the Gita. Be free from obscuration and bewilderment by the three gunas, and action can continue. If you are free, if you are cut the desire and everything, and your soul is outside the body mind life, not identified with body mind life, then you can do whatever action you want. And as it must continue, and even the largest, richest, and most enormous and violent action, that also you can do if you have cut the link in the mind. It does not matter, for nothing then touches the Purusha, the soul, as Naishkarmya. Naishkarmya, no action, actionlessness. Nishkama karma is the one, it's an adjective describing. Naishkarmya is the noun. So, non-action, actionlessness is Naishkarmya. The soul gets Naishkarmya. So, the soul is not acting, but nature is acting in your body, mind, life. That's what it is. So, now we can read the next one.
Rangada,
Yeah, tell me.
Rangada, one question. In integral yoga, it is, we are not gone above the three gunas. Even then, when we have to do action, right? Here they're saying you go above the three gunas, then you can act.
Yeah, that's right. But that is what Sylvia is saying is not absolutely correct. So you can continue to act, okay?
Yes.
You should continue to act, but when you are in ignorance, you will have desire. So the problem is, even in integral yoga, start getting rid of your desire and attachment. And how do you do that? That's not easy. So you do that. All action is to be done as an offering to the divine. That's the way.
Yes.
Ultimately, it comes on. And when you go on doing that, then slowly the desire goes away. And that also very understandable. Suppose I am having something, okay, I have got desire, but I am doing it for the Lord and not for myself. So if I am doing it for the Lord, the concentration is shifting from myself to the Lord. So slowly, the remembrance of the Lord increases and the remembrance of your own self is decreasing. So it will decrease, your ego will disappear. Ultimately. That's the whole point. So offering everything that you do, thoughts, emotions, actions, your physical things, everything you go on offering to the divine. That also is not easy, but that's the way.
That is more difficult than what Gita is suggesting.
Yes, Karma Yoga is more difficult because the other yogas, Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga, are not transforming the body mind life. Okay, they are running away from that. So, in a sense, it is easier. Karma Yoga is more difficult, and integral yoga is the most difficult of all, but it's the greatest solution to the problem of liberation is there in the integral yoga. It becomes complete, the divine in absolute completeness. So we can read the next one now. So who will read today? Suki, maybe you can read. Yasmin can't read. Pallavi has read. Archana,
Yes, I will read.
yeah, Suki read.
But at present, the Gita does not proceed to that larger. I'm sorry. But at present, the Gita does proceed to that larger point. And is the instrumental cause, since inaction is impossible. What is rational, necessary, the right way is a controlled action of the subjective and objective organism. The mind must bring the senses under control as an instrument of the intelligent will, and then the organs of action must be used for that proper office, action. But for action done as yoga. But what is it? But what is the essence of this self-control? What is meant by action done as yoga? It is non-attachment. It is to do works without clinging mind, with the mind to the object of sense and the fruit of the works, not action, which is an error, illusion, a self-delusion, an impossibility, but action full and free, done without subjection to sense and passion, desireless and unattached works, are the first secret of perfection. Do action, thus self-controlled, says Krishna, Niyatam Kuru Karma Tvam. I have said that knowledge, the intelligence, is greater than works. Jayasi Karmamo Buddhi. But I did not mean that it is greater than action. The contrary is the truth. Karma jayo akarma naha. For knowledge does not mean renunciation of works. It means equality and non-attachment to desire and the object of sense. And it means the poise of the intelligent will in the soul, free and high uplifted above the lower instrumentation of prakriti and the controlling the works of the mind and the senses and body in the power of self-knowledge and the pure objectless self-delight of spiritual realization, niyatam karma. Buddhi yoga is fulfilled by karma yoga. The yoga of self-liberating intelligent will finds its full meaning by the yoga of desireless works. Thus, the Gita founds its teaching of the necessity of desireless works, nishkama karma, and unites the subjective practice of the Sankhyas, rejecting their merely physical rule, with the practice of yoga.
Yeah. So, he's expanding on the idea. Okay, so I'll read each sentence. Okay. But at present, the Gita does not proceed to the larger point of the complete Naishkarmya, because there are other things to be explained. Since the mind is the instrumental cause, since inaction is impossible, what is rational, necessary, the right way is a controlled action of a subjective and objective organism. Okay. So The subjective organism is the mind and senses. Okay. And the objective organism is your body. Okay? Your body. That's it. So you have to control niyatam karma. You have to do controlled action. You are in ignorance, but you try to more attention to the subjective, and even it helps also when you don't indulge in something. That also helps. But it's not enough. Only if you do objective, it doesn't help. But if you do subjective and objective, certainly it helps. But there are some people who say, I'll cut the link in the mind, but I will continue doing what I'm doing. That also is not a good solution. Because if you do both together, that is even better. But the way of not doing action in the physical, there are two types. One is to completely do it in a very free manner, okay, without sense of loss. But if you do it also, oh my God, today I have lost my, I could not get what I wanted. Okay. Rasgulla was not there. There are many people who like a sweet after their meal. So if it is not there, they feel a little dissatisfied. So that's what Swami is saying. There are two things. One is the subjective, the desire in the mind, and the objective. Both have to be controlled action. That's Gita's way. That doesn't solve the problem, but the problem will be, this is one of the ways of solving the problem. The mind must bring the senses under its control as an instrument of the intelligent will, and then the organs of action must be used for their proper office. The word office here means function. The proper function of the mind is to think and understand and know, and for action. So the organs of action must be used for their proper office, for action only, without desire. But action done as yoga. In other words, not with desire. The action has to be done without desire. But what is this essence of this self-control? What is meant by action done as yoga, karma yoga? Again, the answer is, it is non-attachment. If it is to do works without clinging with the mind to the objects of sense and the fruit of the works. So you don't link your action to the sense object. That's what he's saying. If I am linking my action to the sense object, then you are not going to solve the problem. So you can continue to act, but without dwelling on the sense, without dwelling on the sense object. You can try an experiment, okay? So when you are eating something sweet and you like it, you are actually enjoying. Okay, there is an identification with that, and you are enjoying. Next time, eat what you are liking, but keep the mind somewhere else and see whether the enjoyment is still there. It's not a solution, but it's interesting. Because if you're thinking of something else, okay, some friend comes and drops into your house when you are having your lunch, and you are talking with him some necessary work, but you are continuing to eat your favorite food. Obviously, your mind is elsewhere, and you will not be able to enjoy what you are doing. Okay, so this is the, but that cut in the link in the mind has to be cut, not artificially by people visiting you and doing something else, but it's an experiment you can try. The enjoyment will be less. That's what. So
there won't be any enjoyment.
Pardon?
There won't be any enjoyment.
That's exactly what I'm trying to say. But the desire won't go away. Then suddenly
Yes.
you realize, I've eaten, but have I eaten or not? You doubt. So, but it does help, okay, to put the mind. In other words, when you are eating, you are going on giving that food to the divine. You are thinking of the divine. The enjoyment will be less. Okay. So if the enjoyment is less, then naturally your attachment to it also will reduce. So this is the way. It's a very interesting way. You can also experiment. Now, it is non-attachment. It is who works without clinging with the mind to the objects of sense and the fruit of the works. Not complete inaction, which is an error, a confusion, a self-delusion, an impossibility, but action full and free, done without subjection to sense and passion. Desireless and unattached works are the secret of, are the first secret of perfection. But I gave you an example of only food, but Surendra is also including the fruit of the works. So suppose you are doing a homework, okay, and you have to submit that to the teacher. But if you are thinking of the fruit of the work, I want to be first, okay, then again that attachment is there in the mind. So you are doing the work, but there is an attachment to the fruit of the works. Okay, so that also is not nishkama karma. So you should do the action without the desire for result. Now that may raise a question. You may say, if I don't have a desire for good result, then how will I be able to do perfect work? But that's not true, because the Gita says, yoga karmasu kaushalam. So the more unattached you are, the better will be your work. That's what the Gita says. That's another thing. Okay. So he has included.
That is when Ranga, that is when we offer it to the divine, no? Then
That's
it will
right.
be perfect.
That's right. So whatever you do, you offer to the divine. Now I included the fruit of the works also. That's why I didn't give the second example. That's why I went back and gave the second example. So not complete inaction. You have to continue to do action, which is an error. Okay. Complete inaction is an error because you can't do complete inaction. As I already here explained, even if you're sitting quiet in a chair, okay, you're breathing, there is action. You're thinking, there is action. Your mind is going on thinking, what is there for dinner today? So that is also again action. So you can't. Not complete action, which is an error, a confusion, a self-delusion, an impossibility. But action, the action that you do should be full and free, full. Okay, put your full attention on it. And free, done without subjection to sense and passion. Desireless and unattached works are the first secret of perfection. Do action thus self-controlled, says Krishna, niyatam kuru karma tvam. Now the question arises about niyatam. Niyatam, he is explaining, and he's got big footnote where he's saying, we'll have to see that next time. Okay? But we'll just finish the para and we'll see that next time what he meant by niyatam. The usual interpretation of niyatam is that which is laid down to you. Okay, niyatam, the regular work, the work that you do regularly. Niyatam, that which is to be done. If you are a carpenter, continue to do carpentry. If you are a doctor, continue to do your practice. That's not what is meant by the Gita. That's what Sendin is saying. Niyatam Kurukarma means control. Yam is a root, and niyatam means control. But in our vernacular languages, niyatam karma means that which has been laid down for you. Okay? That which is your profession. That's not the interpretation that they say. Okay? We'll see that next time. The footnote. I have said that knowledge, the intelligence, is greater than works. Jayasi karmano buddhi. Jayasi, better. Okay? And karmano buddhi. From karma, action is better than non-action. That's what it is. The intelligence is greater than works. But I did not mean that inaction is greater than action. The contrary is the truth. Karma jayo hi akarmana. I have broken up the sandhi. Karma jayo. Karma is better. He insists. He means exactly as in our Indian language. Ye he. In Sanskrit also is the same meaning. He akarmana. Karma is superior to akarmana. That's what it is. For knowledge does not mean renunciation of works. It means equality and non-attachment to desire and the objects of sense. The desire in the mind and the objects of sense outside in the physical world. And it means the poise of the intelligent will in the soul, free and high, uplifted above the lower instrumentation of Prakriti. Lower instrumentation of Prakriti, your body, mind, life. And controlling the works of the mind and the senses and body in the power of self-knowledge and the pure, objectless self-delight of spiritual realization, niyatam karma. Buddhi yoga is fulfilled by karma yoga. These are Gitas. Okay? The others won't agree, but these are the Gitas. They will say Buddhi yoga cannot be fulfilled by karma yoga. They will say Buddhi yoga is separate. Karma yoga will pull you down, they will tell you. The yoga of the self-liberating intelligent will finds its full meaning by the yoga of desireless works, nishkama karma. Do works without desire, without attachment, without wanting the fruits of the work. Thus, the Gita founds its teaching on the necessity of desireless works, nishkama karma, and unites the subjective practice of the Sankhyas, rejecting their merely physical rule with the practice of yoga. So, this is the Sankhya philosophy says don't do action. But Gita is saying do action, but follow the Sankhya method of separating yourself from your body, mind, life. So that's a combination. So we stop here today and next time, but still there's an essential difficulty, and we'll also read the footnote. What Swayambhu says. Swayambhu is not agreeing with many interpretations of the Gita. Okay. So Mithyachara he disagreed, and Niyatam Karma also he will disagree. Okay. So we'll start that next time. I'll make a note. Okay, everybody.
Merci beaucoup. Merci.
Au revoir, merci. Bonne journée, Radha.
Yeah. Everybody. Yasmin, Nanjanadi, Shilpa, Pallavi,
Thank you.
and Suki. Au revoir. Have a nice day.